Tracking 3 top weather impact headlines: a chance for snow, much cooler weather, plus a couple of wind events that are taking shape. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, just breaking it all down on our ABC 10 Plus streaming app as well. Now, we've got a premiere with our new weather special, California's Dying Lakes. That'll be uploaded a little bit later on this week, plus our Emmy award-winning weather special, Water Wasted. So check it out there. Now let's get to this forecast here. The last time it rained was over 170 days ago. We've had spits of rain here and there, but as far as really measurable and impactful rain, we have to go all the way back to the beginning of May. That being true as well for snow. You can see the dry season hits us hard. Once we get past that last rain of the season, it just falls off dramatically. We had 4/100ths of an inch in August for downtown Sacramento, but no rain since really the beginning of May. So it has been a growing dry situation throughout much of the state. Satellite and radar. Now, we've been seeing a couple of weather systems brush by us, most of which really just have given us a couple of sprinkles. That's about it. A couple of snow flurries in the Sierra. But overall, the storm track favoring the northern part of the state through the Pacific Northwest. So a very zonal flow, a very west to east pattern shaping up over the past week or so. Futurecast model showing this first initial system just brushing us with a few clouds, but again, no measurable rain, and we're right back to the mild conditions. Now, we have seen a little bit of precipitation since the beginning of our water year, that being October 1st of this year. It'll run all the way through next year, September 30th. So far, we've had less than an inch for Eureka. Redding with 4/100ths of an inch of rain, in South Lake Tahoe with just slightly over 1/4 of an inch of precipitation. So that's going to put all of us in a deficit. October doesn't happen to be one of the wettest of the year. In fact, it's one of the drier ones that we see all year long. But it does kind of signal the start of the wet season and what's to come. So the first fall rain usually hits us on October 7th with at least 1/10 of an inch of precipitation. Now, the latest that we've actually had that amount of rain in the water year is December 11th. And then after that point, we had successive weather systems come through. The first day last year that we had at least 1/10 of an inch of rain, October 10th. So we were pretty much right on par. This has just been kind of a slow start this season. Average monthly rainfall, like I said, October doesn't happen to be one of the wettest months in the year. That comes much later in December, January, and February. But we're edging towards the end of the month with nothing in the water bucket. So it'd be nice to see at least a little something here as we continue to monitor, like I said, growing drought conditions. This is what it looked like last week. I should say October 10th. So last week, officially, the drought monitor came out last Thursday. So this was right before the newest one came out. Our drought severity and coverage index was at 91. We didn't see a whole lot of growth here, but we did start to see the severe drought grow to 4.3%, that being mostly right here in the southeast corner. We also saw the presence of some drought growing right on the California-Oregon border. Now, it does look like we will be seeing some systems come through over the coming days that could favor a little bit of rain coming through in that area, starting to see the slightest bit of growth in drought conditions. The other thing that's brewing in the background, this just came out as well. NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, releasing their new outlook for the growing La Niña for the winter months. It looks like it's going to be a short and weak La Niña that'll be growing into September, October, November, and then just kind of shut off as we head into our spring season. But something that we'll be tracking certainly in the coming months as we head into what usually is our wettest 3 months of the year for California. It looks like La Niña is really going to taper off by the time we get to February, March, and April. That's why they're calling for pretty much a short duration and a weak La Niña taking shape for the winter season. But as far as the precipitation, what is the normal pattern? It tends to favor the Pacific Northwest through extreme northern California, and that's very much what we're seeing right now, but we haven't really seen La Niña take shape yet. Here's a look at ENSO. It's the El Nino Southern Oscillation. Typical pattern here, we've got the trade winds that blow right through the equator. The currents generally favor that east to west shape here, with the cooler weather banking up against Central and South America. And then we've got the warmer weather out in the Pacific. Now, what happens in El Nino, and again, that's what we had last year for winter. We had the weaker trade winds. That warm water tends to bank up against Central and South America, and it does tend to favor a slightly wetter than average southern and central California. So again, that's what we had last year. Now we're going to reverse that in La Nina. We get stronger trade winds. We get the cooler water starting to move its way into that region that's right here in the kind of the central Pacific, if you will. And once we get to a certain threshold, then they're going to call it La Nina. That tends to favor a drier Southern California and a wetter, as we talked about, Pacific Northwest into almost Northern California. It's not a one-to-one ratio. It's not like we say, oh, La Nina's coming, this is what we'll have. In fact, with a weak La Nina, 60% of them have been dry in California, with only 30% near normal and 10% have been wet. And you can see some of the years that we've had some of the wetter than average. 1995, 96 is one of the more recent ones that we've had, with that weak La Nina favoring a much wetter than average pattern for Northern California. No matter what, though, water managers have to start preparing for the wet season. So Shasta being our largest reservoir, I just picked this one out of the numerous ones throughout the state, and you can see what's happening here. Little bit of releases going on right now. Here in the teal shade is where we usually see that pattern of filling up that reservoir. This is what happened last year, 23, 24, where we almost got to that peak storage capacity. Was sure nice to see for the second year in a row, breaking that drought a couple of years ago that we had been kind of undergoing. So the current status is we're preparing for being able to fill that reservoir once again, kind of feeding the entire state with water during the dry season. Our major reservoir supply levels are actually looking pretty good here. We're over 100% for Trinity and Shasta, and I should have changed that date. I just updated that today. So as of today, the 21st here, we're looking at above average for the capacity, or I should say for the averages, we're above average. And then the capacity, as I mentioned, we're starting to lower those just because we need to have space for the incoming snowmelt and any runoff that happens to come down the hill from the Sierra. A likely cooler weather pattern looks possible for the extended outlook, starting off October 30th, lasting through almost the first week of November, but slight change in this forecast for our extended outlook, the 8 to 14 day outlook. That likely setup that we were following for the past couple of days that looked like it was really going to favor much of extreme Northern California has now shifted and really confined in Washington and Northern Oregon. So it does look like that storm track is starting to favor more of that northerly track here. Departures from normal. Now, this is where we really start to get a big blast of cooler fall air coming in, and that will happen on Sunday. We've got a low pressure system to the north of us, which is going to change that storm track somewhat. Unfortunately, right behind it is not a lineup of storms. Instead, it's another high pressure ridge, and that could set up a dangerous wind event for us. A lot to track here because there could be a lot of changes to that outlook here. But here's the low that's going to be coming in. Now, it's just kind of forming in the Pacific right now. By the time we get to our Sunday forecast, this is where it's poised just up to the north of us with a chance of showers in extreme Northern California. It's overnight Sunday into early Monday that will have the chance of some snow showers in the Sierra. And with that cold air coming in, we have the potential to see that down to about 5,000 feet in some places where there's enough moisture. That would certainly be a nice change in the high country and for Northern California as well, because we have had some growing dryness in that region. Plus, the cold air is getting those snowmaking machines going. So some of the ski resorts are saying, hey, if we can make snow, we might be able to open here at the end of November. But this is where we're going to be tracking the wind. So right on the heels of that, we see that low pressure system just off to our east. Here comes the high pressure ridge. It's in between those two systems that we get the winds. And we had that last week with the higher fire danger. And then right on the heels of that, we get the potential for another wind event to start off the month of November. Again, this is pretty far in the distance, so it's just something we're going to be tracking. This is not a for sure yet. One of the reasons why I did want to highlight this so early in the game, though, is because winds in November can be very problematic, especially given that we'll be well past 170 days since we've had significant rain. In September, we generally don't have as much of those northwest winds in our outlook. This is our wind rows by month for Sacramento, and you can see they start to pick up. There's those northwest winds as far as the occurrence of them. The frequency goes up in October. Come November, we see that frequency continuing. By the time we get to December, that goes down ever so slightly as we start to pull in more of those southeast winds, and that would indicate more of an active weather pattern with more rain and snow, as well as those cold fronts coming in. So October, November can be very dangerous for those northwest winds. They're dry, they're warm, and they have produced some of the most deadliest fire spreads in California's history, including the Camp Fire, deadliest fire, happened in November 2018. Griffith Fire in October 1933. The Tunnel Fire in 1991, October. The Tubbs Fire, also wind-driven, October 2017. And then the outlier there, North Complex, August 2020. Most destructive fires, you'll see a couple of those names repeat here. Camp, Tubbs, Tunnel. We got the Cedar Fire and then the North Complex as well. So again, October and November are not the time to take the foot off the gas of keeping our fire safety gear ready and being ready to evacuate as well. As far as the fire season comparisons, as of today, we've had over 1 million acres burned. That's a little bit below that 5-year average, but way ahead of what we saw last year. And in terms of fires, we've had over 7,000 fires. Now, the fuel dryness, I mentioned this. One of the places that I wanted to highlight was the Diablo Santa Cruz area, because it is showing a little bit of a particular vulnerability to some fast-moving fires here. This is our fuel dryness, and you can see with the blue line, we are starting to edge up into a more dangerous category here with the 7-day forecast in the green right here, showing some upward movement towards that dangerous category. So as we continue to dive into more dry weather, we're going to have to watch that fuel dryness and, again, any of those northwest wind events. As far as the 90-day climate outlook, well, likely warmer setup throughout much of the southern half of the United States and likely drier. This is going to lean in a little bit more into that La Niña typical pattern. So certainly something to be watching here over the next couple of months, which usually starts to get a little bit wetter around here. Highs for tomorrow, still quite pleasant in the 60s. It's great in the foothills. We've got some color changes going on. Apple Hill, one of the places to go up and enjoy some of the fall foliage in the 70s right now. 70s along the coast with 80s inland. We are starting off with those chilly mornings in the 40s. Highs, though, are quite pleasant, right around 80 degrees. Now, I didn't necessarily put the showers up here for the mountain forecast yet for Sunday. That's still to be tracked. I think we're going to see those a little bit earlier here for the foothills come Sunday afternoon, where highs will be getting cooler as well. Windy along the coast by the end of the weekend. In the meantime, we've got highs close to 70. 3-day forecast, we've got highs in the 70s. Like I said, it's going to be a very zonal, very predictable pattern here for the next couple of days. Then we start to change things on Sunday. That colder air works in, brings us that slight chance of showers on Monday, potentially windy on Tuesday, and it could be windy again next Friday. Highs will be close to 70. Dry, though, for Halloween. Again, that's a look at our forecast. We'll keep track of the rain, the wind, the cooler temperatures, and we'll be tracking that all on our ABC 10 Plus streaming app. Plus, we got the debut of our new weather series as well, California Dying Lakes.